Now we're recording. We come back from black. And we'll see how well this records to the SSD drive before I set up a streaming, an on-air streaming connection. The device was, the video device was putting out defective video both to the stream and to the SSD, which means somewhere in the encoder, from what I gather, somewhere in the encoder we had a problem. Now I have several capabilities here. I could also put a laptop output here to get a YUV. I know that the color space is different on 1 and 2 from what I've read, and so I don't put the HDMI RGB output from the video camera into number 1. We usually put it into number 2, 3, or 4. This is the small Pro. This is not the this is to get the 4 inputs. It's not the larger ATEM Mini Pro. We use this in a church setup. I had to move the camera out of the sound booth. This is the camera that we were using with the other one. These are the same cables. Now, I spent a lot of money to try to rearrange this. I went to gold connection, Cat 6 cables for the internet. I bought the SanDisk drive, which was about $80. I bought high capacity 8K video cables for everything. Of course, this is a cable that goes to the output of the camera, which is a mini or a micro, I don't know which it is, but it's the small connector HDMI to a large connector HDMI. I don't use an adapter, I use a cable direct. I bought the cable specially for this. We had another cable, but to ascertain that we were not having problems with cables or internet, we upgraded our internet from 250 to 1 gig. We tested the speeds. We were uploading at 200 megabytes or above for most of the time we were trying to fix this problem. We hooked the cable directly to the router. Now directly to the Google Fiber router. Today I'm hooked through a Netgear box because I don't have a direct connection to the Google router in my office. I'm on the other side of the building, so I moved everything over here so we could use the desk, and it was a little more convenient. So that being said, this is our setup, and we would get dropouts, blackouts on our preview window and a program window on the output of the monitor HDMI. But that was a separate issue. It would just go blank, and of course our output streaming would go blank. With our other devices, we used a combination of different things before we bought the ATEM. What's hooked up there in the sound booth right now is a newer model of the Atmos Connect dongle that is HDMI and USB output into a laptop. The problem is the laptop doesn't have the streaming capabilities, so we get a lot of lag, or we get out of sync video and audio and things like that. So we were relying mostly on the SSD and then just uploading our programs rather than being live. And honestly, I think that's probably what we'll end up doing when we get the ATEM working again, mainly because we're a smaller church and we don't have a high quantity of people watching online. Most of our shut-ins don't actually have capability to see the program because they have flip phones and they don't have internet, they don't have any connection to watch a YouTube or Facebook or some other type of streaming video. So they just didn't have the capability. Now we're running 5 minutes now on this program, and by now normally this would have already failed. I won't know if we have a problem until I go into the SSD drive and look at the programming. I'm going to try to let this run about 15, 20, 30 minutes, and just whatever's going on here, I'll videotape it. And it's not exactly the same kind of programming that we normally do, because in the auditorium we have a blue curtain across behind me, and it's got folds, and then the person is standing, usually myself or a song leader or a special singer or something like that, is standing at the pulpit in front of that. And it's not the same exact video. This has a lot less movement, and of course the sound is coming directly from the HDMI channel, coming from the camera. Normally, because we have wireless mics and we have wired mics on the platform running through a digital soundboard, it would come into the digital soundboard, go out through the USB connector into the laptop, or directly from one of the channels into the back of the ATEM Mini, as we have a dedicated channel also, the headphone channel, where we can take it out. Plus we have a two-step, there's a two-stage where we can send stereo out separately. It is not the stereo mix going out to the power amplifier to go to the speakers. It is the same mix as if we hit the switches right, but we can actually change the mix and send something different to the stream than what we have coming to the ATEM Mini. I'm like most people. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on this, and I'm like most people. I really would love to have a headphone jack on here. Now we see on the monitor here, down in the lower right hand corner, for the way it's set up out of the box, we see that the program is running. I can see audio being sent out of the mix. I can see it coming off of camera too, and I can see it going out to the program, but I actually don't hear the quality of it. Now, because I'm coming through a soundboard, I can hook headphones into the soundboard and I can see what's going out to the ATEM Mini, but it would be kind of interesting to have the ability to monitor the audio that's actually being sent out on the stream. Because once it's cut, whether it's cut to the SSD or if it's on the DVR on YouTube or whatever, that's final product. This is not an ISO. If it was an ISO, we could run the SSD, run all the inputs separately, and also stream it, which we would then have the capability of going back in our post-production software, whether Vegas or Blackmagic Design, and reprogram the setup, put some different things on it, lower thirds, or front end and low, a lead in, a lead out, maybe some graphics to go along with the verses or something like that over the screen. We could do some post-production stuff that we can't do easily live. We will be, because we can set up the keying, picture-in-picture, the keying effects, and be able to look at graphic overlays, moving graphic overlays if we use a laptop to come into it, or if we use the programming in here on the ATEM Mini. We can put a picture alpha channel of a lower third over the top of it, but it's a still, or we can put something over the top keyed in as a still, and we can still do that. But with motion graphics, you have to be able to to set up the motion, and from inside the ATEM Mini, you can't put motion graphics in the memory and then run them through a key on the stream. At least not at this time. Maybe in a future model they'll have a function of this. Now, we had one of these. We purchased it from B&H Photo, which I'm very happy. They've treated us nicely every time we've purchased from them. And I appreciate the company. They've always been great. This is not an advertisement for them. They didn't pay anything. They didn't do anything. What they did do, though, is they took the other one back and sent me this new one. And this is, like I said, the first unboxing and the trial of the first look at this new unit. Now, I don't know if the software has been updated in this to the latest software, firmware. I did upgrade the firmware before we started using it, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the firmware update didn't take right, and I had no way, I couldn't figure out how to re-update the firmware with the same level. That may be really easy, but I just didn't figure it out. That may have been the problem. There may be a defect in the streaming module. I don't know exactly what the problem is. I do know what is causing. That caused it the first time we used it, and it has never changed. The frequency is different. It isn't like it happens every 2 minutes or in a very stable frequency of events. It's random. It doesn't seem to be caused by audio input. It doesn't seem to be caused by motion on the platform. It doesn't seem to be caused by light or dark. It just tears the bottom of the screen. It just streaks it. Or it puts artifacts through the middle of the screen. It's not even the same effect all the time. So once I get done with this program for about 30 minutes, I'm going to look at it and then see what it's done. Going to run this as far as I can run it and see what I can do. I'm also recording in the camera so we can see what it should look like, and if anything else, I can put them side by side and look at the final product. Now I'm going to let this run, and I'm going to go about my work here, and I'm going to let this run for about 30 minutes. We're at 13 right now. Maybe at the end of 30, I'll just come back and say something. I don't have another camera on right now, so I can't put my beak on the video very easily without bending down and looking upside down at you. So, I don't know. I read videos of every kind. My problem was not slow streaming. My problem was not out of sync audio and video. My problem was not, all of the standard problems that I hear people talk about. Nobody reported this problem. So it's not a common problem, and therefore I think it may be either the hardware firmware update didn't take right and caused a problem, or they just, bad luck. It was made on a Monday night when everybody was tired or something, or I don't know. So we'll wait and see. We'll see how the program comes out. I'm also making this for B&H Photo so that they know that I unboxed it, connected it, and it did or didn't have the problem. So we're verifying the problem. I am a trained troubleshooter. I worked in troubleshooting for the Air Force for 8 years, and worked as a foreign missionary overseas for 30 years, Europe and Africa. And a lot of that caused a lot of troubleshooting also, a little different kind of troubleshooting. Usually you can, troubleshooting an Army box, you can just drop it on the desk and see if it works. And, maybe sometimes that fixes the problem, or you can hit it with a bigger hammer. People, you can't do that with. And they require a little bit more, how can I say, just calm, going about things. So I'm gonna let this run, and we're at 15 minutes. I'm gonna let it run for another 15 see what we get. So thank you very much for watching. We're at 17 minutes, and one of the things that my guys noticed, and they thought that it might be an effect, was that they use their cell phone in the sound booth as a monitor for our security system. But we tried that with or without a sound, with or without the cell phone and sound booth. Now we're operating on a wireless mic usually, and it's in the 500 megahertz range. It's not a 2.4 gigahertz system. It's a lower frequency VHF, high VHF, 540 or something. It's a Shure product, so it's a good product. I mean, it's a $500 mic system with a lapel and a couple of handhelds. And so it's not, it's not some, cheap off the market, whatever. But there didn't seem to be any interference. And we've got a good Mackie FX digital soundboard. It's not a large soundboard, but it's a high quality unit. It's not very old. We replaced the entire sound system when I came here, and we took the whole system out. The only thing that's the same is the Shure mic. Everything else was changed. So now I'm operating a cell phone here this morning, but it's not close to the box until just now when I looked at the text. But so far we haven't had any video dropouts in 19 minutes on the preview windows, because the preview window would actually drop out and the program would drop out and just go black occasionally. And I never figured that out. Of course, it would black out on the stream also, or the recorded stream, or the stream on the internet connection. So I don't know. We'll see what we get when we get done with this. I'm gonna let it run a little bit longer. We're coming up on 20 minutes.
humanism. It's light or iron hand. I noticed that about religious people. Flawed people, and we're going to create a world that's trans light. The link between me and
Okay, we're at 25 minutes, so I'm going to shut this down, and then I'll post the results and see what we get. So, thank you for watching. Fade to black.